Let's crack open the House of Leaves, enter the house on Ash Tree Lane, and explore the maze of meaning. So this ought to be a fun one. I was able to pour through a couple of the explorations when Navidson and then Holloway and his team, and then Navidson along with his brother and Billy Reston went into the maze behind the door with the four deadbolt locks on it. And in my perspective and the way that I look at things, I like to look at the psychology and the symbology of stuff. So that's the way that we're going to take it for this particular video. So basically, I took a look at the at a lot of the wording and the phrases used in the book, and we're gonna see what symbolism or allegorical kind of stuff we can pull out of it. All right. So the maze's structure is referred to as a bow plan on page 109, which means body plan, hinting that the house and therefore the maze is alive. You know, it doesn't have a structure like a house does or a building does. It has a body, right? Like life itself, the maze unfolds differently for each person. What you see depends on where you stand. I mean, this doesn't exactly apply when there's a group of people because they're all seeing the same thing, but it's just like in the way that we understand physics now is that particles and things, they change when observed, right? Well, they change when observed, but things can kind of hold a constant state. You know, it kind of gives an idea to object permanence, which is the concept of if you're not looking at something, it's supposed to be there, just like everything in my house is. But the idea is that when the house is not being observed and it knows it's not being observed, then it molds and shapes itself, right? So it's constantly referred to as a labyrinth. Zampano put some stuff in the book about it being a labyrinth. There's even references to the Minotaur and such, which is what a lot of people attribute to the growl that's heard in the maze. Um, so labyrinths, like life, are both path and pattern, order and disorder. That's from page 113. Page 119 states that there is some patterns to the rooms, corridors, and occasional spiral staircase. So when Holloway and his team go down there, they do reference that there's more than one spiral staircase actually, although only that big one that's in that huge room, like the Great Hall, I think they call it. That's the only one that they actually explore, or the one that's that's the only one that's described as being ascended or descended up until exploration 5, I think. Unless exploration 5 has a ladder, but we'll get to that. So the book also states that it is a bad idea to stop in the labyrinth, but so basically don't stop, but to struggle through it, right? The same thing applies with life. Being stagnant does nothing. Staying focused in the maze and staying focused in life is also important here. As the book says, in order to escape, then we have to remember we cannot ponder all paths, but must decode only those necessary to get out. I think that should actually be decide, but kind of works for both. Either way, that is on page 115. So the idea is that even though there's all these different pathways and stuff, both in the maze and in life, we have to pick one at a time. In life, we can't get distracted, nor can we get down on the confusion in life. We must trudge on. Zampano also clues us in on what happens in Exploration 5, back when it's discussing, I think it's Exploration 3. He says, when you hurry through the maze, this is what he wrote, when you hurry through the maze, the faster you go, the worse you are entangled. And at this point, it's, Holloway's not rushing through it with his gun or whatever. That's not until Exploration 4. But if you take that idea of when you hurry through a maze, the faster you go, the worse you are entangled. When Navidson goes in there by himself, he brings a bike, right? He's expecting to go fast. He's expecting to have to get somewhere fast. He wants to get somewhere fast. So what does the maze do? It complements that by having long, super long hallways. So the maze acclimates to his expectations. This can also speak to Johnny's drug habit, because his stuff is his part of the book is very, very fast paced in a way. You know, he rambles, talks about all the drugs and alcohol that he gets into, and he's he's got the different, like, really bad feelings, and something is after him. He's rushing through life in a way, trying to figure out the manuscript. He's going from one good moment to the other. Let's see. So even when you try to force your way through, it doesn't prove any good, like Holloway kicking a hole in the wall to reveal more endless hallways. Same thing with life. If you try to force something, you're not always going to get it. You have to be diligent, you have to be planned, you have to be calculated. That's why the maze could not and did not change, except for maybe one part, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, because I'm revisiting the whole thing, when they had the fishing line and things like that. Just, when they put markers down on walls, that of course changed, because not everything that you had already visited in life is going to be the same. So not everything that you have visited in the maze is going to be the same when you turn around. That was the same thing in Exploration A, when Navidson went in there by himself and he put a penny down as a marker, and then it was definitely not in the same place as it was before, nor were any of the hallways the same as they were before. Let's see. The purpose of the vast place continues to elude them. That's on page 111. In the same way that life's purpose eludes us. Am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? I might feel comfortable right now, but that could change. Everybody kind of asks that question. Like reality, the maze is subjective to each person. To each person, those in the maze are confused. Those outside the maze are dazzled. If dazzled has a higher connotation than confused, this can speak to the idea that to each person, life is confusing, but when we observe others, we don't really understand their experiences. Have you ever looked at somebody and you're like, wow, their life is so together, but you really don't know what's going on in their head? Kind of the same thing with Karen being outside the maze, wondering what's going on in there. Or just hearing over the radio, not truly knowing what's going on. I know that the dazzled versus confused thing, that was on a specific page. However, I did not get the page number for that one. Why did I not do that while I was taking my notes? Anyway, another point is that a compass doesn't work. Not in the house, not in the maze. Just like life has no determinable direction. You decide where you go. You don't have exactly a roadmap. You have an idea of, if I go here, this is where I should be going. But there's no determinable go this way. There's no map. There's no listing of what turns to take in life or in the maze. On page 87, I like this quote. It says, knowledge illuminates. As they're able to go through the maze and explore different avenues of it, they're starting to get a sense of what the maze is. A lot of the structures are kind of the same. Like I said, there is a pattern to some parts of it, and the repeating staircases and such. So as they learn more of the maze, they kind of become more comfortable with it. I mean, by Exploration 5, Navy kind of thinks that he knows what he's doing in there. Just like knowledge illuminates so many things in life when you learn how to do a bunch of different things. So this is kind of a big thing. Navidson is originally denied the ability to explore the maze, which is in his nature. He wants to explore it. It's a new thing for him. And at first, he agrees with Karen, because Karen is like, if you go in there, we leave. So he has to pick between his desire to explore and his adventurous side and his family. Although Karen seems like she can't commit for anything, so it's kind of annoying. And plus, she cheats on him. But, so the biggest reason that Navidson got the house in the first place was to settle down rather than going around exploring. And then the house tempted that side of him to go and explore. So, reaching the center, there's this thing on page 113, right? Reaching the center, which is the end of the maze, is an ideal goal which one can only attain after a hard journey. Then another quote here on page 113. To reach the center is to achieve a consecration and initiation. So let me speak on that. Navidson does this when he reaches the end of the maze. He finds his way out of the maze and truly returns to his family. So he conquers this desire to explore. He almost exhausts himself of it because it's damaging to his family. by exploring the maze. And I think he loses like a couple toes or like a foot or something. I think, if I remember right, I'm gonna have to read the entire way through. But I always like doing things step by step in a process because I find it more organic and such that way. So even though he was with his family when he moved into that house, his heart really wasn't. And it's almost like the house took advantage of that. And as his desire to explore the house was what initiated the explorations A through 5. And when he was forced to go into the maze, and the first time that he went in exploration A, the only thing that got him out was when he started to panic, and he was freaking out. He couldn't find his way out. And what made him get out? He started calling for his family. He called his girlfriend's name, his daughter's name, his son's name, and then he heard his daughter from the other side of the door. Right then, at the very end of it, when he's as far down as he can go, and he finds that, I forgot what the name of the structure is, but anyway, spoilers. This entire thing's full of spoilers, but you guys get it. When he reaches the very end of his exploration, and he thinks it's the end for him, what does he start doing? He thinks of his family, and you want to know what? That's what brings him out. And Karen's thinking about him, and he's thinking about her, and he eventually does come back out. I think that the maze responds in a way to what you want. It's the same reason why Holloway, who ended up bringing his gun with him, he ends up being completely lost in the maze. The guys that are abandoned by Holloway, they think that it's, oh God, what are we going to do? It's going to be super scary now. What do? They think they're going to get lost. They get lost. It's the same thing as thoughts create your reality, which is something that we talk a lot about in occultism and metaphysics and things like that. What you think about, you bring about. And the maze seems to do that. I really like this angle that I took on how the maze is very akin to life itself. So you guys let me know what you think. Add anything else that I might have missed or any other things that you guys think down in the comments. You can always reach me on my social media and through my email and stuff, which you can find at the end of this video. So yeah, let me know what you think about this, and good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of magical theater and magical mechanics, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.